Will I ever wear my pumps again? An ankle injury journey. I was 13 years old, a typical teenager growing up in a small Caribbean island. It was midsummer. Okay, you guessed right. School was out. And what do you think I was doing? Hanging out with my friends? Nope. Or better yet, browsing the net? Won't guess again. Internet was not even in my world at that time. None of that. Instead, I was doing what I love to do best, reading. Yes, you heard right. Reading during the summer. Unbelievable, huh? Enjoying a cool summer breeze. I lay under a canipa tree. If you wondered, it's a huge tree that produces a sweet fruit the size of a marble. Now you know. Back to my story. I lay there peacefully, indulging myself in a good fiction book. You know, young 13-year-old mind with those love stories. Anyways, I was reading intensely when all of a sudden I felt someone start tickling me all over. I was screaming, "Stop! Stop!" But there was no stopping. So I finally stood up and started to run to free myself. Who was that? You are asking, right? It was one of my playful cousins who come from nowhere behind my book to bother me in my reading, and found it funny because he knows that I don't like being tickled. In the course of my warning, you would never imagine what happened. What happened to me will become my story of a long, painful journey with an injury which I will carry the consequences for the rest of my life. I was running almost out of breath when my left foot got stuck in a crack that was done in the pavement by a heavy rain the day before. I fell to the ground screaming, holding my ankle with an unbearable pain. My cousin stopped pursuing me and asked what was wrong. I yelled, "I broke my ankle, and it is because of you playing that tickling game on me." I could not stand on both feet. Hopping on one foot, he helped me get into the house and went next door to call for help. Because there was no adult in the house at that time. Everyone was at work. When my mother came later, she sent for someone to come and look at my ankle. Not a medical doctor, but someone at that time, adult, said could help with bone problems. The gentleman who came did the massage and wrapped my ankle with some bush leaves and a type of oil. Oh boy, my ankle was so painful to his touch and so swollen too that I screamed to the top of my lungs. Besides the wrapping, nothing else was done. No doctor's visit, no x-rays, or any other form of proper treatment. Therefore, I grew up normally, unaware of the damage that was done to my ankle until 20 years later. By then, I had long immigrated to the United States, and I was living in the state of New York with my husband and my two daughters. I was living a normal life, walking up and down the subway, catching the train to go to work on a daily basis, not even thinking about my ankle. When one day, my left foot started to hurt. I was wondering what I did the day before to create so much discomfort to my foot. 2 days later, it was so swollen that any of my shoes could fit me. Unable to bear the pain, I went to the doctor. Just looking at my foot, he said, "Tendon problem." "What happened to your ankle?" the doctor asked. "I don't know," I replied. He sent me for an x-ray. but not much could be revealed because of the buildup of fluid in my ankle, he said. He prescribed some medicine to reduce the swelling and the order for me to return 2 weeks later. When I arrived home, I used a Webster's dictionary to look up the word tendon, and this is what I found. Tendon, it's a noun. The anatomy, a cord or band of dense, tough, inelastic, white, fibrous tissue serving to connect a muscle with a bone or part, sinew. It's a reinforcing strand in stressed concrete. Its origin is from 1535 through 45. It's from medieval Latin tendon, stem, the Greek tenion, spelling with a D, by an association with Latin tendere, meaning to stretch. Back to the doctor for a second x-ray now that the swelling went down some. The reading revealed a fracture in the ankle. Fracture, I repeated. The doctor ordered some special boots for me to wear until the fracture repairs itself. I went home, followed the doctor's order, and didn't waste any time to look up the word fracture in the dictionary. And this is the meaning I found. Fracture, noun, can be also a verb, fractured. The act of breaking, state of being broken. Its origin from 1375 through 1425, from late Middle English, Middle French, Latin fractura, a breach, cleft, fracture. It's equivalent to fract or frangerie, meaning to break. As a transitive verb, is to cause a fracture in break, like fracture a rib. It's a rupture or tear, to damage or destroy as if by rupturing, to cause great disorder, to break up is fractionate, to go beyond the limits of as rules violate. In the meantime, the pain still persisted. Ankle was still swollen. I was wearing the big fat boot on my left foot and a shoe on the right, and using a crutch for balance. It was very uncomfortable, as you can picture it. 8 weeks later, another trip to the doctor, another x-ray. Oh, in case you're wondering, an x-ray is a picture or part of the body. In this case, my left foot. In the clinic, for him to take a look at the boot result on the fracture. He discovered that the fracture was repaired, but the picture shows a space in the gliding joint, the doctor said. The gliding joint, I repeated, and I sighed it. What will be next? And how long before I found relief? He ordered an MRI this time, a more advanced type of x-ray. Back home again in disappointment, I embarked myself in my continuous search to find the definition of these two words, gliding joint, that the doctor mentioned. Because the word sounded foreign to my ears. As you already know, I went home and consulted my best friend, the dictionary. And this is the meaning I found. Gliding joint. It's a noun. It's an articulation or a corner where two joints meet that permits free movement. It's a freely movable joint, and gliding joint is found in wrists and ankles. Its origin from 1880 through 1885. 2 weeks later, back to the doctor for follow-up and the MRI result. More importantly, in search of relief for this unbearable pain. He read the MRI and discovered that there is a sprain of a ligament in my ankle. What? I exclaimed once more. 2 big words, sprain and ligament. What are they? How bad are they to cause so much pain and discomfort to my ankle? Then he asked me if I recalled having any kind of injury to my foot in the past. That's when I remember of the twist that my ankle suffered 20 years ago when I was 13. He deducted at this time that all that trouble that I'm going through is the result of that past injury. Now that I have to deal with a sprain of a ligament, I want to know what these words mean. And no need to ask, as you already know. I went to get help from my friend, the dictionary, and this is what I found. Sprain, as a verb used with object, is to overstrain or wrench the ligaments of an ankle, wrist, or other joint so as to injure with that fracture or dislocation. As a noun, it's a violent straining or wrenching of the parts around a joint without dislocation. It's a condition of being sprained. Its origin from 1595 through 1605, and its origin is uncertain. It's a sudden or violent twist or wrench of a joint causing the stretching of or tearing of ligaments and often rupture of blood vessels with hemorrhage into the tissues, making movement very painful. Walking, for example, is almost impossible. Also, a sprain is the condition resulting from the sprain that is usually marked by swelling, inflammation, hemorrhage, and discoloration. Ligament is a noun. Anatomy in zoology. A tough band of tissue, usually white and fibrous, serving to connect bones, hold organs in place. It's a tie or bond. The desire for personal freedom is a ligament uniting all peoples. Its origin 1375 through 1425, from late Middle English, medieval Latin ligamenton, meaning bandage, equivalent to liga, to tie, mentum. In order to correct the tendon injury caused by the fracture of the bone and the sprain of the ligament of my left foot, I had to undergo 2 surgeries. I had to wear those special, ugly, uncomfortable shoes for 4 years, and a lot of foot ankle treatments before I finally can wear regular shoes again. Not without some foot discomfort time to time. I'm certain that my story let you all know that if you hurt your ankle And if it's swollen, it might be because of an injury of the tendon. That injury may be caused by a fracture of a bone or a sprain of a ligament that can stop the gliding joint from helping your foot to move into different directions. But even though my journey to recovery was painful and frustrated, it gave me the opportunity to increase my knowledge by adding 5 new words to my vocabulary words bank that can be very helpful to me in science class. Why am I narrating this story to you today? It is because I want to advise anyone, especially students, that if you ever get any type of ankle injury, not to take it lightly. Let your parents know about it in order to see a doctor immediately. Because the level of pain of misery I went through is not to be endured by anyone when it could have been prevented by a simple procedure such as an on-time treatment that I was lacked of back